Before 2007, the United States was hardly considered a country where footballers could have a career. It had a backwater league with a handful of teams and players who were barely recognized outside their own homes. But this narrative would not last for long. It all changed thanks to one man who saw a chance to become a part of something great. This man was no ordinary Joe. No, he was one of the best of his time and had plied his trade for some of the biggest teams in world football. From the peak of English football to the Galacticos of Spain, to the red and black giants of the Italian league, to the most dominant side in the French league, he'd been there and done that, with loads of silverware to show for it. Who was this man, you ask? The man, the myth, the legend. The idea of bringing David Beckham to the MLS was both outlandish and laughable. He was easily one of the highest paid stars in the game, and his fame transcended the sport. So, when Tim Leiweke had the genius idea of bringing a Real Madrid Galactico to a league that hardly received any attention, it was considered an ambitious pipe dream. This is one of the rare cases where the detractors were right. Besides not having teams capable of matching Real Madrid's financial status to afford Beckham's services, the entire league was too young and frugal to afford anyone with half of the Englishman's hype and silverware. Even the best player in the MLS at the time, Landon Donovan, laughed at the rumors, saying David Beckham's not coming here. At the time, Leiweke was the president and CEO of AEG and owned 5 other teams in the league. Can you imagine being able to afford that in the EPL? That's just how small the MLS was. The best descriptor should be the undeveloped Wild West. But Leiweke was determined to lure the Englishman to his swamp, if not for its popularity, then definitely for the league's future. He said, "We're either a dog in the middle of the lake doing the paddle to survive, or we're gonna shake this off, think big, and change the league forever." In hindsight, Leiweke was right. Sure, he made little sense at the time, and even his mother would have doubted the possibility of pulling a Champions League winner out of European football. But the after effects of Beckham's signing have been monumental. He became to the MLS as Maradona was to Argentinians, a savior. In a matter of months, being a soccer fan in the US went from geek culture to mainstream popular culture. In fact, as of 2019, the MLS has the 7th highest average attendance in the world. The league itself changed thanks to the Englishman's influence. Leiweke could afford to own 5 clubs because expansion fees cost $10. Compare that to now, where they sit at an eye-watering $320 million. The league also expanded from a handful of teams with a couple hundred players to over 750 players and an average salary boost of more than 500%. As players' salaries have increased, so has the value of the league itself. Beckham's arrival dragged the MLS from the verge of bankruptcy into one of the most financially healthy leagues in the world. MLS teams currently rank among the top 50 wealthiest teams in the world, according to SoccerX's Football Finance Index. But perhaps Beckham's most significant influence on the MLS was being a forerunner. His success as a player, torchbearer, and the face of the MLS convinced other big football stars that the league was good enough to play in. This set the pace for other world beaters like Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Thierry Henry, Javier Chicharito Hernandez, Steven Gerrard, and Bastian Schweinsteiger to move there. David Beckham joins the list of American athletes who became transformative figures for their sports, like Babe Ruth, Joe Namath, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and so on. Beckham might not have had the best games of his twilight years in the over 5 seasons he spent at LA Galaxy, but his mere presence was enough to improve the league's status. Even years after leaving the MLS, Beckham's influence continues to shine. Is it any wonder that the Los Angeles outfit he played for deemed it fit to embellish his name in the history books with a bronze statue of the Englishman outside their stadium? Beckham was only 31 at the time and was one of the best paid players at one of the biggest clubs on the planet. As you would expect, pundits latched onto the news with a vengeance. It made no sense why such a decorated player would move abroad to a dreadful league for less pay. A country whose citizens hardly even cared for the sport, with less than 2% of its people alluding to soccer as their favorite sport. The average league attendance per game was around 15,000, which doesn't nearly match the over 80,000 fans in Madrid or the explosion of spectators on European nights. On TV, the numbers weren't so inspiring either. In 2006, a year before Beckham joined the MLS, the league averaged only 263,000 views. Compared to other sports like the NBA, MLB, or the NFL, which pulled in a lot of views, it was obvious that football in the United States wasn't nearly as popular as other sports. If anything, it was an afterthought for the people there, so why should Beckham care? Yet, Beckham took a 70% pay cut to move to the United States. Altruism? Not even close. Making such a move for the money made no sense, as he could have easily continued at Paris Saint-Germain. However, the MLS sweetened the deal with a two-part contract. The first part involved a $6.5 million yearly salary, but the most interesting bit is the second part, which forced the entire league to create a new rule for him. At the time, the MLS had a salary cap of $2 million. At that rate, even the $6.5 million salary looked kind of sketchy. But all that becomes easier to understand when you learn about the second part, the designated player rule, or the Beckham rule as it's famously regarded. This rule allowed MLS teams to exceed the $2 million salary cap, making Beckham's $6.5 million per annum offer revolutionary. Let's break down how the new rule worked. Although Beckham took home $6.5 million every year, he only got $6.1 million from the owners of LA Galaxy, and the final $400,000 is counted against the salary cap. Even with the new rule, the Englishman was still trading a $20 million a year deal at Real Madrid for $6.5 million in some backwater league. The MLS had to offer more. In a stroke of luck, Beckham and his agent negotiated a creative deal where he got an undisclosed percentage of the revenue generated by the club. Put simply, Beckham received part of whatever amount the club made in his 5.5-year contract from selling merchandise, tickets, stadium drinks, snacks, or even sponsorships. If that doesn't already seem excessive, the midfielder also negotiated to have the right to purchase an MLS expansion team at a fixed rate of $25 million after retiring. This little detail didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but given that the cost of franchises has risen by over 300% since then, you can appreciate that Beckham made a steal. His $25 million acquisition has since morphed into a $1 billion investment. David Beckham put the MLS on the map as a player, bringing it fame and respectability. But as an owner, he's done far more. In 2018, Beckham finally activated his clause to acquire the rights to an MLS expansion team. Thus, Inter Miami was born. In only 6 years of its existence, the team has gone from a small club with extensive connections to a team that now has one of the most decorated players in world football on its books, Lionel Messi. Just as Beckham's arrival paved the way for other great players at the time to follow suit, Messi's arrival has also attracted other great players, particularly his ex-Barcelona teammates like Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez, and Sergio Busquets. As Alexi Lalas, the former LA Galaxy president and two-time World Cup player, said, as good as David was as a player, we're talking about a whole other level when it comes to Messi. This is a very different level of credibility, arguably the greatest player ever to play the game. Messi's star power and credibility far outweigh Beckham's in his heyday. The Argentine might not have appeared in People magazine more often than in a sports magazine. Still, he's undoubtedly one of the most famous athletes alive. The proof of his popularity can be found in the deals and records surrounding his time at the MLS outfit. Upon his arrival, JP Morgan Chase purchased the right to Inter Miami's stadium name for the duration of Messi's contract. That's why their home is now called the Chase Stadium. Additionally, the jersey sponsors for the club, Royal Caribbean, shelled out an eye-watering $22 million every season to have their logo splashed onto the front of the jersey. This figure is almost 4 times more than the previous record high. In 2023, Inter Miami's 6-game winter tour across several countries, including Japan, El Salvador, Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, and even local side Texas, made the club millions. The Athletic reported that in just 6 games, the club's earnings dwarf those of teams like Real Madrid, Manchester United, and Barcelona on their pre-season tours. For a club that's been around for only 5 seconds, Inter Miami are only behind MLS teams like Atlanta United and LAFC in terms of valuation, and both those teams were league champions at some point. Since Messi's arrival, Inter Miami's revenue projections have more than doubled, going from $50 million in 2022 to around $200 million. Much like Beckham in his playing days, Messi's influence ripples through the rest of the league too. The Sports Business Journal reported that Apple's MLS season pass crossed the 2 million mark by the end of 2023, more than double the subscriber count before Messi's arrival in July. For the first time, the MLS had successfully entered the global market. Miami Herald's Michelle Kaufman further revealed the extent of Messi mania, writing that Inter Miami is currently the most popular team on StubHub. But that's only one bit of the revelation. The secondary market has also seen prices spike 150 times their value in 2022 and 7 times higher across the entire league. Messi might have the MLS in a chokehold right now, but in the history of the league, he's hardly a unique character. If anything, he's an embodiment of a different generation in an otherwise long-standing tradition. Since the MLS first started in 1996, it's hosted some of the best aging stars in the sport, seeking adventure outside the cutthroat competition of the European leagues. It's a win-win situation for both the player and the league. The former gets to make their mark in a country obsessed with celebrity culture and wind down their playing careers with less pressure to perform. On the other hand, the league gets to milk the players for their talents, credibility, and hype. These were the key ingredients of why the Beckham deal worked out so well. The MLS has emerged as a premier destination for global soccer icons like Steven Gerrard, Thierry Henry, Kaká, Ashley Cole, David Villa, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Javier Hernandez, Luis Suarez, Gareth Bale, and most recently, Olivier Giroud. Their influx into the league underscores not only its rising stature, but also the enticing lifestyle America offers. Beyond the allure of competitive play and expanding fan bases, the appeal lies in America's multifaceted lifestyle offerings. From the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the bustling streets of New York City and the sun-kissed beaches of Miami, players find themselves immersed in a tapestry of cultural experiences. Moreover, the United States boasts a high standard of living, with modern amenities, top-notch healthcare facilities, and a robust infrastructure. Whether it's indulging in gourmet cuisine, exploring vibrant art scenes, or enjoying outdoor adventures, players are spoiled for their choice in their leisure pursuits. Furthermore, the MLS provides an opportunity for players to leave a legacy by contributing to the growth of soccer in a nation with immense potential. The combination of competitive soccer, lucrative contracts, and the promise of an enriching lifestyle makes the MLS an irresistible destination for top talent seeking new adventures both on and off the pitch. Beckham, the OG, has again replicated his ability to pull star power to the league. After working his magic as a player to pave the way for other players of his stature, bringing Messi to the MLS has now opened the league to more established players. Beckham's Inter Miami is now home to some of the sport's most decorated players, some of whom have won the most coveted silverware at some point in their careers, like the World Cup and Champions League. Before Messi's arrival, no MLS team featured players who'd won 2 World Cups and 4 UCL titles between them. Now, that record exists, courtesy of the brilliant mind of David Beckham. The arrival of players like Giorgio Chiellini and Olivier Giroud will further add to this budding star pool. On his own, Beckham has been instrumental in changing the fortunes of the MLS. With Messi, he's delivered even more. Only time will tell the after effects of this partnership and how it will improve the league further. If you love videos like these, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what other videos you'd like to see.